Good afternoon.
You back?
I'm back.
So, all right, that caused me to go back to this question. When I was asking you about overlap, the difference between Chief Administrative Office and Human Resources. And you told me that there was a difference, but now you're here testifying.
I'm just filling in. The job as the HR director for the city is posted, and so the Civil Service Commission.
So it's just an interim. So
yes,
there will
it's
be
an
somebody.
interim. Yeah, the job's
Okay.
posted. A recruitment firm has been retained, and so once an HR director is found, the commission will appoint them permanently.
How long have you been doing both jobs?
Is it October? Maybe October. Yeah,
October?
I believe it's been October, maybe November. But
So you've
yeah.
been handling? So why do we need both?
Well, I don't know if it's an ideal situation. I don't know if it's sustainable, but I mean, it's a great team. The HR department, the deputies are great, and they, you know, it's been a lot of fun. I mean, for me at least personally, I don't know if they feel the same way, but it's been fun for me. HR is my passion, so it's been a fun project.
Okay, I mean, I know that, but I mean, Chief Administrative Officer was something that's relatively new.
It's very new. Yep,
And
it didn't exist.
we were actually asking, why are we creating another department? Because there's always an issue about redundancy in government. A lot of people in the general population think that there's quote unquote fat in the government.
Yeah,
And we don't agree because we're all here and we know, but
yeah.
it does kind of lend a little weight to the argument.
It is interesting. There's a movement in HR right now where a lot of organizations are combining IT and HR. I probably shouldn't say this, but the state is doing that, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And there is a shift in the marketplace where they're combining those two functions and leveraging tech in recruiting talent.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we're supposed to be about the business of efficiencies and, you know, and I don't like to use the term downsizing because that means eliminated employees, and I'm a strong supporter of municipal employees.
Yep.
But if there's a way to be more efficient, similar to what we've done with the consolidation of planning, zoning, development, and understand that they've finally gotten their contract in place and they're moving towards consolidating the agencies, I'd like to see that practice across the board because, again, we are responsible to the taxpayer, so wherever possible.
Right. Yep. No, I understand.
All right, I'm sorry I disrupted you.
No, no, no.
Were you going to test it?
I have a very short testimony, and then we're open
All right,
for
I'm
any
sorry.
questions.
Go ahead.
No, it's
I just, when
it's
you came back up, I was like,
it's a very,
I mean, we're cool and all that. I don't mind you coming up. It's just, you know.
No, it's a very appropriate question.
All right, cool.
So I'll be brief. Good afternoon, President Clark and members of City Council. I'm Christine Durnick-Lopez, Chief Administrative Officer and Interim Human Resources Director. Joining me today is Marsha Green-Jones and Valerie Hosendorf, both of whom are Deputy Human Resources Directors. I'm pleased to provide testimony on the Office of Human Resources Fiscal Year 2020 operating budget. In fiscal year 2020, the Office of Human Resources is focusing on creating an approach that enables the city to attract and retain a high-quality and diverse workforce that provides quality services to our residents. Additionally, the Office of Human Resources will continue to focus upon the well-being of our employees. You have my full written testimony. My team and I are happy to answer any questions you may have.
Man, that was quick. Real quick. The Model Employer Initiative. I know this came up in some of the earlier testimony. Can you talk to me about how does human resources fit into that initiative?
Yep. So we partner a lot with the Office of Workforce Development, and Zakia Ali leads the City as a Model Employer program. So we have a couple projects going on now. We partnered with them on the hospitality careers at the airport. So another opportunity to build a bridge for custodial workers at the airport. That was one project we supported. And right now we have two projects that we're looking to launch the beginning of the next fiscal year. One is with 311 operators, and it's actually physically going into the prison with women and teaching them the skill sets to be a 311 operator, and then building a bridge class for when they are returning citizen and bring them into our employment. The other project is with fleet management, where we're looking at partnering with current inmates and through a work release program, building a bridge program where on work release they'll be trained in the fleet maintenance facilities, and then after a certain period of time, we're thinking 6 months, they will be transitioned to full-time employment. So they're the two projects that we have going on right now that we're looking to launch in July.
Okay. Healthcare costs, always a challenge for everyone, particularly as it relates to government maintaining costs. And have we, and I know we don't have any ability to impact it, at least not this particular year, maybe next year when there's a federal election. But have we looked at the possibility of the elimination of the ACA or any changes as it relates to, I guess it all depend on who becomes the president or Congress and all the other things associated with dictating. But have we looked at the potential options and how we can ensure that we maximize and optimize our best practice as it relates to maintaining health care costs for our employees? And I know that's kind of like a crystal ball thing because we don't know what's going to happen, but probably something's going to happen one way or another.
Yeah, so I'm going to let Marcia answer that.
One of the things I have to say to your Marcia Green Jones, Deputy Human Resources Director, one of the things that you've alluded to is the fact that there's a bit of uncertainty. And there's a bit of, it's uncertainty, I think, across the board with consultants, with the healthcare community. I think one of the things we've seen is the Cadillac tax, how that's been pushed back for a number of years, and that tax actually has not come to fruition, nor do I think it will ever come to fruition, to be quite honest. It's difficult to speculate on what will happen, I have to say, but all things being equal, I think that the landscape will pretty much be normalized the way it is today because we don't see any pending legislation that would rear its head at this point to say that there are going to be any changes, because change would take a very long time to implement. So at this stage of the game, I don't foresee any changes in the next few years.
Okay, you should be working as a political consultant on the side. I'm sure somebody. All right. What's your position again?
I'm the Deputy Human Resources Director responsible for health and welfare.
Deputy for Human Resources. And okay.
Employee benefits.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Chair recognizes Councilman Dom.
Thank you, Council President. Good afternoon. A question on city employees that currently get flex credits for waiving their medical coverage. Have we done away with this benefit for those who claim but yet are covered under the city benefits plan by way of spouse or parent?
No, we have not done away from this benefit. We've continued to look at this benefit over the last several years, and one of the things that actually is interesting about this benefit is recently DC 47 negotiated this flex credit for their membership. So they actually have implemented a program for medical only, whereas all the other opt-out programs in the city actually require an employee to opt out of all benefits.
Okay. And this goes, I think, with kind of what we've been talking about and the council president talked about. The fringe benefit costs for all departments is averaging 87, 88, 89 cents roughly per dollar of labor we pay. And so for reference, the private world is like 30 to 32 cents for fringe benefits. And I realize that a portion of that, good portion, has to do with the pension liability, okay? But the rest of it, are we doing anything to look at those numbers to see how we could reduce those costs?
We continually, Marcia Green Jones, Deputy Human Resources Director, we continue to look at opportunities to save costs. So one of the things that I think I've spoken about before is the fact that we focus on a step therapy for any brand name drug. So before an employee can actually receive a brand name drug, they have to go through step therapy. which indicates the doctor has to demonstrate that the person has tried several other drugs before they can actually receive the name brand drug. In addition to that, from a prescription perspective, we've actually managed to reduce our costs by $1 million, I indicated. First of all, one of the ways that we've done that is through management of our specialty drug program. We've been able to they have to have a pre-authorization to receive specialty drugs. So we continue to look at avenues on an ongoing basis to actually manage our costs. So we do that not only in that way, the plan design, but also through our educational processes. So one of the things that's really important right now is mental health. Let's talk a little bit about mental health. So we have mental health, as we know, is also something that involves employees who have chronic diseases. So one of the things Independence Blue Cross is going to be doing in the next couple of months is they're going to be rolling out a telephonic mental health program with Magellan. We think this will break barriers in terms of people, there's that old shadow over people who want to go speak to a professional. So this will take away some of the stigmatism associated with mental health, and we know that mental health is something that crosses all barriers, all socioeconomic levels. So that's one of the things that we're actually going to be doing.
Let me ask you this question. Do we know, as a city, we have, 29,000 employees? What do we pay for medical costs for those 29,000 people?
I can't speak to what we pay for the other groups because I'm only responsible for the health and welfare plan for the CAP employees. So those are the employees who are non-represented or union people who opt into our program. So each union actually negotiates their own programs. They have different benefits they offer just as we do.
So let's just stay with your program for a minute. How many people does your program cover, and what is the medical cost of that?
Okay, we cover over 12,000 members, and our cost is $89.3 million. And that includes all benefits.
So how much is that coming out to roughly per person? You have any idea?
It's roughly about $1,050 per member per month.
So it's $12,000 a year?
Yes.
And have we had anyone look at that program and try to determine how we could save money with that?
We're constantly looking at the program. We negotiate the contract every 4 years, and every year we look at ways to minimize our costs. We rank ourselves against our peer group, other governmental agencies, to understand where we fit in with regard to our co-pays, with regard to our per member per month costs, with regard to prescription costs, et cetera. And I'm pleased to report that we actually rank very, very well compared to our other governmental agencies within this group.
And who negotiates that contract?
Pardon?
Who's the negotiator of that contract? Who negotiates it?
We negotiate the contract. So the City of Philadelphia does. We negotiate our own contracts with our vendors. We put out an RFP. We're responsible for negotiating those contracts with the law department.
So when I do the math, tell me what I'm doing wrong. $89 million for medical, 12,000 people covered, comes out to $7,400 a year, which is cheaper than what you're saying. Did I do something wrong?
I don't know if you did something wrong, but why don't I come back to you and talk to you about that, because it's probably just taking into account the medical, it's taking in the basic fringe benefits as opposed to the other ancillary benefits.
Well, it's better. This is better than what you told me. I mean, I'm happy that we're paying $7,400 versus $12,000.
All things being equal, it probably doesn't. Remember, we cover the unions in certain benefits, which I haven't alluded to. So that cost that I'm talking about is probably not including all the union plans, just as life insurance. We cover all the union members with life insurance, retiree life insurance for all those individuals.
So maybe you can come back to us with a breakdown.
I can come back to you with a breakdown.
Okay, and maybe you can enlist some of the people that are taking the negotiation class to help us negotiate the contract. Anyway, thank you for being here today. Thank you.
I'm not going to.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Rose Brown.
Good afternoon, ladies. I'm referencing a 2018 Pew report that talked about the rule of two. The research for this report found that some of Philadelphia's civil service regulations offer hiring managers less latitude than their counterparts in other municipalities. One example is the so-called Rule of Two, which limits a hiring manager in Philadelphia to considering only the 2 candidates who place highest on the eligibility list for a position, with each applicant given a precise numerical rating based on exam scores and other factors. Bad news, among the nation's 30th largest cities, 29 others all give managers more options. LA gives the rule of 5. And so how does your office, or has your office recently considered the impact of the rule of 2? 1, how does the rule of 2 impact your ability of the city to hire diverse candidates for jobs? And again, for me, the aggravating factor is the Philadelphia Free Library. Okay, I'm being redundant, but I need to make a point. Does the rule of 2 have an impact on small businesses? Speak to where you are, how you deal with that reality for us.
So the Pew report really, with the research they did, really was helpful to us. And Philadelphia is in the minority when it comes to our ability to give managers more options in selecting talent. The rule of 2 is pretty restrictive in comparison to other cities. That is true. I'm going to quote my deputy Val Hosendorf here, because she said something about the project work we're doing and really about finding better ways to attract talent, and also, as I mentioned, always having an inclusive lens on that. And so we think that we have a lot of opportunity with the current project work. And Val said, you know, if we do a great job at getting these great candidates on the list, is it so horrible that people have to pick 2 great candidates? Is that a horrible problem to have? And so that's the approach we're starting with. We know that it's promotional exams where we're seeing the rule of 2 having an impact. And it's really having an impact on diversity and inclusion. That's where we're seeing it, given the research we've done.
So if we know that that's a major barrier, in fact, some would argue it's a blocker, and if we're serious about wanting to change the paradigm, then how much time are you giving for this new initiative to reveal its hoped for desirable outcomes?
So we started it, and we've already made some great progress.
Started it when?
I would say November we started launching.
Okay.
We changed some regulations and policies. We removed some barriers, how we're approaching our engagements.
So it's not a year old yet?
It's not a year old yet, no. I would say we started in November. But at some point, probably a year from now, we're probably going to have the rule of 2 conversation.
Repeat that last.
I think probably a year from now, we're probably going to have to start having the rule of 2 conversation and what we're going to have to do with it. It is a charter change. That is something specifically stated in the charter.
And so if leaders are serious about changing the paradigm, and we know that it requires a charter change, then whatever it takes to fix the paradigm, let's just do it.
We're open to the discussion. We're absolutely open to the discussion. Right now, we feel like the project work is where we need to be.
A step in that direction first.
Yes, and it's yielding the results that we're looking for.
Okay.
I mean, it's getting us, it's meeting our goals.
Okay. I will share with you that I've spoken with our airport leader, and she has too indicated how the rule of 2 has been and is an impediment to her achieving the diversity goals she's trying to do out there.
Yes.
So you should be aware of that.
Thank you.
So now I'm looking at page 9 of your testimony, which indicates staff demographics as of November 2018. As it reads, there are 38 full-time African-American female staffers and 13 full-time white female staffers. However, the numbers indicate that on an average, the African-American female full-time staffer's salary is approximately $10,000 less than their white female counterparts. In addition, there are 11 full-time African-American male staffers and 7 white male full-time staffers. Once you look at the numbers and analyze the numbers, as my staff and I seek to do, the numbers indicate that on average, the African-American male full-time staffer's salary is approximately $16,000 less than their white male counterparts. help us understand how we can get to equity when that kind of pay inequity exists.
So there are 4 exempt positions in the Office of Human Resources. And I would say the majority, they're all female and the majority are diverse. So the rest of the workforce is civil service. So most of our staff, we have professionals who work in hiring services and benefits. And then the remainder of the staff are predominantly administrative. And so from my perspective, both are diverse. We have folks representing all types of ethnic groups, but obviously the administrative positions are compensated less than the professional positions.
And is that because they are exempt? Help me understand.
They're all civil service.
They're all civil service.
They're all, yeah. We only have 4 exempts, and 3 of them, and 2 of them are sitting here with me, are African. We have 3 African American women and 1 who is non-diverse.
Okay.
So everyone else is civil service. And so it's just all the pay, as you're aware, the pay rates are what they are based on the title.
So then where I hate to say point the finger, because I'm sure it has nothing to do with the existing professionals, because this has to go back to pay scales when they were hired. Would that be fair to say?
Well, yeah, and also the positions they were hired in.
And also the positions they were hired in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the professionals, they need a bachelor's degree, and they're HR professionals.
Okay.
So they're all paid, depending on your tenure, they're all paid the same.
Okay.
And then the administrative staff, they're also all paid the same. It depends on the job and the level of complexity of the job.
Okay.
And then time.
That's helpful, very helpful. One last question related to that, Mr. President. So there's the ask for an additional $178,000 in Class 100 funds. Is that accurate?
Let me look. Just give me 1 minute. In 100? I thought
Class 100 funds? The subsequent question
Oh, I'm
is-
sorry, yes. They're for the pay raises, the
Okay.
collective bargaining
Very
agreements.
well. Okay, then. Thank you very much, and thank you for the explanation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Chair recognizes Councilman Taubenberger.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a quick thank you, Ms. Lopez. Your staff has always been very, very open to us and helpful, and I appreciate it, having meetings and asking about other things and giving advice. My question is very simple. Is there anything that we could do in the council over time, whether it's obviously not necessarily for the budget itself, but over time, that we could do to help you make your job better? Something you find onerous, something that maybe we should take a closer look at?
So thank you. That's very generous.
It's true. People that have been helpful, I want to make sure that other people know about their helpfulness.
Thank you. We're really excited about the project work, and Val leads hiring services, and she has through her leadership, has just done amazing work in a very short period of time, and so we're pretty excited about that work continuing, and we're not exactly sure where the road will take us in the next 6 to 12 months, but depending on what we find, we would love to continue to meet with you and see if there's any opportunities to legislatively make some changes or whatever that may reveal. We hired a consultant, and so we're just engaging in a lot of the work. We're doing a lot of work that we can control, but we're looking for some consultant help as well.
Well, I would take you up on that in meeting over a period of time, because I really think that's how things, in the long run, get done for the betterment of all Philadelphia, and that's really why we're here. So
thank you.
I thank you, and thank you very much. And Mr. President, thank you for the time.
Thank you, Councilman. There appears to be no additional questions. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Have a great afternoon.
And this committee will stand in recess until Wednesday, April 17th, 2019 at 10 a.m., which time we will reconvene in room 400.